Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Merlin the Mighty podcast. I'm doing an audio one this time because it's late, and I just got over being sick, and I've got Dan. Dan Reviews It here.
Hello.
Just got back from a vacation. He's been a little bit tired.
I am a little tired. You're right.
We've already been talking for a good hour or so off the air anyways, but I figured this might be a good time to bring in the new year with kind of an interesting subject I thought I wanted to share with Dan. Now, you had never seen the Marvel Daredevil film from 2003 with Ben Affleck. And so we said, all right, well, we'll get you over to watch that. We'll talk about the podcast. But then we said, let's make it complete. Let's look at the whole brief phenomenon and watch Elektra as well. Now,
and I think it actually started because we were talking about Garner.
And
I think we started talking about Elektra because I said something about Jennifer Garner can't make a bad movie.
Oh, and then we were like, well,
and then you said, well,
I've heard that this one wasn't so good. And also, I know you were thinking about watching some of the Netflix Marvel shows.
Right.
And I know Daredevil had its third season released recently, and so, well...
And to get a good base, I really should
check out
go back to basics.
Where Daredevil's been before. Yeah. So, we'll get into one movie then the other, but just a little background about this. Really, I mean, the interesting thing about this is weird is that for both these movies, we ended up watching the director's cuts.
Right.
Now, which is interesting because I liked the original Daredevil. I grew up with it as a kid. I did enjoy it, but I only ever saw the theatrical version. But I had always heard the director's cut was better. Mm-hmm. So we watched that. And
so you had the compare and contrast.
I had that. I had never seen this version before. You only have that one to go off of.
But you'd seen the original so many times that you were able to tell me while we were watching it, like, this scene wasn't in the
like this little scene here, and this scene was line wasn't added. I'm like, this whole
sometimes entire plots and characters,
which we'll get to.
Yeah,
and then Elektra, we watched the director's cut as well.
But you had never seen the original, right?
So I'd never seen the original. I never wanted to see Elektra because I had heard it. I had heard it on good authority that Elektra was one of the worst superhero movies ever made. Mm-hmm. Obviously, this is the dark times.
Man,
this is before Marvel Cinematic Universe, before Disney.
Yeah,
this is the early when superhero movies were getting bigger, but it was just kind of seeing.
Yeah, it was before Disney. Who released these movies?
Oh man,
was it Fox?
I think it was Fox, or was it Sony, or maybe.
I don't know.
But it was somebody trying to obviously pick up the properties of success of X-Men and Spider-Man.
Right.
This is one of them. So, just a little bit of background here for you guys that may not have watched it. Basically, it's the origin story of Daredevil. You got Ben Affleck playing him. Gets hit by the acid. Batfleck. Better known now as Batfleck. And he turns blind, gets super senses, obviously. And then he meets Jennifer Garner, Elektra, who's a rich ninja assassin lady.
Yeah.
They hit it off. Meanwhile, he's trying to fight crime. You've got Michael Clark Duncan as the Kingpin.
Yep.
And he hires the assassin Bullseye, played by Colin Farrell. And
right.
the Australian crazy guy.
Yeah.
And that's essentially the plot.
And then Coolio comes in.
Wait.
I can't talk about Coolio.
And there is this murder investigate. Okay, but basically that's it. It's a superhero movie.
The plot.
If you care, you know what it is. But, okay, a little bit of background, Dan. Theatrical cut. Okay. This movie is one of those ones where nostalgia is definitely a factor.
Okay.
It's probably like... It definitely... It's
because this came out when you were about, what, 12 or
12,
something?
13.
Yeah, so this is like...
This is early for
prime
me.
Prime superhero
boom.
Mode, yeah.
Big comic book nerd.
Yep.
This is the movie that got me into Daredevil as a character. And I mean, to be fair, if you were a kid... in the early 2000s, it does have all the basics. It hits all the beats, the powers, suit, major characters, villains.
Yeah.
Basic Daredevil stuff is all there. So if it hooked you, great. I really liked it as a kid. It was one of my favorites for a long time. I thought it was dark and gritty. Going back and looking at it now, even just the theatrical version, I would think that it is very much a movie of the early 2000s. Very new metal. A lot of weird...
Yeah, the music alone, you could just... And I think I've said this on your show before. That's why I think, in part, that Marvel Cinematic Universe now uses all these classic rock songs because it doesn't date the material.
Oh, like the music alone, the styles of clothing,
oh my God.
The effects. It's very dated. You can tell very much when this movie came out, for better or worse. Which I think there's definitely some camp there, just theatrically. And Okay, and these are my thoughts about it. I guess going back and without even taking into account the director's cut, I'll get to that. I do think that Ben Affleck did a pretty good job with the character.
Okay.
I do think so. If this was his test run for Batman, very similar character, I get it. He loves the Daredevil character. I can tell that. Fine. I think the costume looks good. I think some of the choreography's good. Some of it not so much. Mm-hmm. Some of the cam work's weird, like in the dark. It's weird. I think Michael Clarke Duncan. It's one of those interesting things. Back then, nobody cared that the Kingpin was portrayed by a black man. But
okay.
But and that was cool.
That's nice. I like that.
Colin Farrell is having a great time. he knows really what movies he's in.
Yeah,
playing the crazy.
He really was having fun.
Over the top villain. I liked that. I think Jennifer Garner was very much miscast as Elektra. Personally,
yeah, it's not good,
and we'll see that later. Jon Favreau has a lot of great lines.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
He plays not Happy. He plays.
Yeah, I was going to say Happy Hogan. Right?
He plays Foggy Nelson, Matt Murdock's partner at the law firm.
Wow, all the crossovers in this movie.
I'm telling you, this is the beginning of some things. But yeah, and I like that. I think that there's some good themes. I think there's some good action. There's also a lot of really badly aged CGI.
Oh yeah,
the music is a bit much.
The effects are horrible.
There are a lot of
the evanescence is a little bit out of place.
The one-liners, some are funny, some aren't so funny.
Yep.
Some are a little cringeworthy.
Bullseye,
eh? Get it? He points to his head. But I definitely don't think it's a very strong movie. It's an important one, but I think it's like okay. For the time, it was okay, but it's no Spider-Man.
Right.
It's no X-Men. It's not on that caliber.
Or Blade.
Blade is even better. Blade is a great example. The director's cut, I had always heard people that defend Daredevil, this version, like, director's cut, the director's vision is what you've got to see. It's better. Because it fleshes things out.
But it made it so long.
The length, like, this movie wouldn't end. The pacing.
It went on so long.
The pacing was rough. And there's Joe Pantoliano, his whole subplot was cut. Right. And it's interesting how they cut around certain lines to make you think he was talking to Daredevil about Elektra.
Yeah, you pointed out
when he was talking in the theatrical cut, but that's left over from the director's cut where he's talking about this entire subplot. Mm-hmm. Now there were little scenes extended with his dad and some lines, and like some of them were okay for character stuff. Like they were right,
like that one at the concert venue. Yeah,
when he's walking down the hall, I'm like, that's a cool shot, but I get why that's not there. That was obviously cover pacing.
Unimportant, right?
But the most controversial thing, and I want to get your thoughts on this when we get there, but I'm trying to kind of get my spiel out.
Is it Coolio?
Coolio. I never knew that Coolio was in this movie, and it's not just a cameo.
It's literally an entire B story of the film.
A good half hour.
5 or 6 scenes, a good half hour of time taken up with Coolio.
And it's not a bad subplot. It's weird that it's Coolio, but it's the whole.
It's a bit distracting that it's Coolio.
It's a bit distracting. Like why is it him? It should have been someone else. Mm-hmm. But there's this whole court case investigating him, which is kind of related to the main plot and it serves to prove some other things. And it kind of really expands Jon Favreau's role, too, because he's doing a lot of legal work. So I'm like, maybe they thought people wouldn't think this is interesting. And I'm like, it's okay. But it's just bizarre to me.
I can totally see why they cut it.
I can see why they cut it. Like, it's not that interesting.
And cut around it.
But, like, the fact that they paid Coolio, and he probably had this comeback role.
He was probably so pumped.
Get a soundtrack.
In 2002 or 3 or whatever.
To come back.
To, like, oh my God, I've been off people's radar. I can't do Fear Factor celebrity anymore. Let's get my name back in it. And he's cut out. I just picture Coolio on the phone with his buddies, hey, I'm gonna be in this major motion picture. It's a superhero movie, and then they go to the theater.
Where were you?
Yeah, the guy's not, and they don't even give him a song on the soundtrack.
There's no song
because it's such a new metal soundtrack. It's like Evanescence and Finger 11 and all this stuff.
Yeah,
and so they can't even give him a song on the soundtrack. It's just a waste of everyone's time.
Yeah, and I'm just thinking how much money was wasted during how much stuff they cut away. And so it's interesting, but I'm glad it doesn't exist. I think the director's cut is terrible.
Yeah, it's not good.
I think the pacing's horrible. You could see why they cut things out, and it just distracts from the main plot of the movie.
Yeah.
Which maybe wasn't that strong to begin with, but at least it flowed better. So, as far as the director's cuts go, I didn't like it as much. I thought it was more painful than the original. But coming into this more...
But you kind of like the original.
I do from a nostalgic point of view. I think it's fun. I think if you watch the theatrical, you'd have more time enjoying it, but it's also less of your time to waste.
Right.
So, I mean, but being that you're kind of new to Daredevil in general with the movies, what were your thoughts on this too, Dan?
Well, I mean, I think you hit a lot of the main points here. It was interesting trying to piece together how the theatrical would have been paced a little better, just from you saying, like, okay, that scene's not in that. Anytime I saw Coolio pop up, I'm like, all right, well, I know this scene wasn't in the original. But it drags. You said it. It drags on and on and on and on. And let's go back a little bit, and I guess we'll talk about this really more with Elektra. But but I think Garner's casting was not good. And I don't know anything about the characters, obviously. Like you said, I'm new to it. But, I guess because she was coming off of Alias, and which, was primarily an action-oriented show, they were trying to really pump her up as this action star of the day. And to be honest, I didn't think the character was any good. It's weird that they met and eventually married from this movie, because I didn't think their chemistry was that good in the movie.
No.
So I thought that was a little off.
I think the romance in general is very weird. Like the whole weird, like, assault. And I remember the breakdown fight dance number in the playground.
Oh my God.
Like the choreography they somehow
about that.
Like,
oh my God. They have this stupid... It's like right out of Spider-Man 3 when he's emo Spider-Man, snapping his fingers down the street. It was just like that. Yeah, it was very weird. And out of nowhere, out of place. So I didn't get that. Yeah, I think the whole romance thing falls a little flat for me with this. Both with the characters and just... it's weird, but they didn't have any chemistry. Like, it's odd that they started dating after the movie, because...
Must have found it afterwards.
They certainly wasn't on set. And then... So everything with that. The early... you gotta, I guess, kind of judge effects for the time period. But even for the time period, knowing that Spider-Man existed, and some of these other franchises, the X-Men you mentioned... they're just not good. It's corny in a lot of places.
Definitely.
Some of it's okay, but for the most part, I would say not so much.
No.
So even for its time, I don't think it would be impressive. And I don't know, the whole dated thing, I sort of take that with a grain of salt.
Try to.
Because obviously a lot of my favorite movies come from, when I was growing up, 80s, 90s.
Sure.
There's a lot of dated movies from the 80s and 90s.
The very 80s.
Very 80s, for sure. Would you like some of my water?
Oh, no, I'm fine. Okay. I'll get it out.
I think you've hit pretty much all the main points. I do find the character interesting.
Okay.
Of Daredevil. I do like the backstory. I don't think they dwelled too long on making it.
Okay.
I think they get to him being Daredevil
pretty quickly.
Within a decent amount of time. Yeah, it's not right away, but they give you enough to sort of give you a good grasp on who the character is and why he does what he does and all of that. And I think those are all important things.
Okay.
So I think that part was paced well. But then you get bogged down with the Happy Hogan stuff and the Coolio bit, and Joey Pants is like okay, but again, I can see why they cut some of his stuff out.
Did you like the scene where he lights the lighter down on the ground and then the oil comes up with the Daredevil, the Double D? Like Zorro?
That was actually alright. It was a little corny, but I didn't like it.
Okay.
But I will say, something that you hit on.
Sure.
Colin Farrell.
I know you liked him.
He was the best part of the movie. I think he really... I mean, Affleck does a good Daredevil too, I guess.
Uh-huh.
But
he's playing it straight, though.
But he's playing it straight, and Colin Farrell is having so much fun. I feel like, I don't know.
Hamming up a little?
Sometimes we don't get enough hammy villains.
Well, everything's
anymore.
trying to be so serious.
Right, everything's got to be dark. I mean, can we all remember, some of the classic Batman villains?
They're having a good time.
Even in some of the earlier movies. I mean, look at DeVito as the Penguin.
Yeah.
Or Carrie as the Riddler.
Like,
I mean,
you could be a villain, but still have a sense of humor. Have some fun doing it.
And he really, you could tell he was having a blast with the role. And so he was definitely one of my favorite parts of the movie.
Cool.
But yeah, boy, the pacing on the director's cut is not good.
Yeah, that was my biggest problem with it. It was like, I didn't realize how much adding on to that would really kill the runtime.
Right,
Like that's my biggest problem, I think, is the pacing. Well, let me ask you this. If you were to watch the theatrical cut, do you think that would enhance your experience?
Yes, I do, because I think that the stuff that they cut out, for the most part, wasn't all that necessary. Mm-hmm. To keep the plot moving.
No, it wasn't.
I mean, some of it was mildly interesting.
Yeah, Coolio was interesting.
Coolio was interesting enough, as he is. But, like, in the grand scheme of things, like, to add that in and make the movie a half hour longer isn't necessary.
Yeah, that was the biggest thing. And people, I don't know. I think people are reaching, maybe they're insecure about the fact that maybe they really liked the movie and people hate on it now and they want to say, I'll watch the director's cut. But
maybe.
I think this is proof that the director's cut honestly might not always be the best choice.
I've always felt that. I mean, because certainly they're always longer.
Yeah.
But really it's...
Well, you know what I'll tell you? Actually, I will tell you this. Coming from a personal experience trying to make my own movies, being a director and being an editor, when you want to try and keep everything you filmed to make it coherent, and realizing that some things might not get filmed properly or have to be cut for some reason, you really want to hold on to it.
Right.
Like, you're really like, I filmed that. And sometimes it can be hard trying to find out what scene, what shot looks best. Like, I want to keep this, not be redundant. So I can kind of understand a director's struggle. Like, I want to show you everything I did, but like, will that make a good movie?
That's why I'm a strong believer that a director should not edit his or her own movie. I feel like because it's too hard.
It's a filter.
I think you really need somebody that is a little bit detached
from the
project. Yeah,
like, okay, I'm sitting through all this.
And Tarantino has often spoken about his editor
who passed away.
Maybe that's why I know about her.
But yeah, she was very good apparently.
She really
cut his stuff down.
And I'm sure with Tarantino he films hours and hours and hours and hours. So, yeah, I mean, she was able to find what worked and what didn't work and what was necessary. And I think here is a perfect example of why that's important.
Yeah, you're right. Sometimes I think they should be kept separate. That's why it's good to have a lot of moving parts in a project like that. But I don't know. Theatrical Daredevil, I mean, nostalgia side, I think it's probably like a C+ for me. Like, it's kind of on that line of entertaining, but it hasn't aged very well.
Right.
But the director's cut, I don't know. I think that's probably more like a C-. It was pretty dull.
Yeah, I'm gonna leave it with a C-.
Okay.
But I'd like to think that it's probably a grade for the movie as a whole, just because I've never seen the theatrical cut.
You haven't seen the official one.
So I was trying to, like I said, sort of envision, by you saying, like, okay, this part wasn't in the movie, how it would be structured theatrically. It might improve to a C with the theatrical.
Yeah.
The director's cut is probably somewhere in the D+ range, so I'll leave Daredevil the movie as a C-, sort of in the middle.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that was a movie that I kind of knew something about, but for some reason we decided to watch Elektra too.
Well, had to do it.
For completion's sake.
Yeah.
Well,
and I love a Garner.
I know you do.
I do.
So tell me, Dan, from your perspective, what do you remember about it? We watched it not too long ago.
No, we watched it after. I actually probably remember less. We literally watched Elektra a week and a half ago. Or 2 weeks ago, I guess now.
Maybe 2 weeks ago.
And we watched... No, not even.
It was not that long
It was literally 2 days after Christmas, and now it's 3 days after New Year's.
Yeah, because it was right before you went away.
We literally watched Elektra a week ago, and we watched Daredevil like a month ago. I remember more about Daredevil than Elektra. Elektra was so awful.
It was really bad.
There's nothing, honestly, nothing anything good about it. Nope. Garner headlining the show is just, it might have worked in Alias.
She's bored out of her mind.
But with this character, it looked like she was just sleepwalking through this movie. The green eyes that went back and forth. Sometimes they were green, sometimes they didn't feel like putting the filter on.
You know a movie's bad if you're so bored you can pick out the little mistakes like that.
Yeah.
They forgot to put her contacts in
sometimes. And then they didn't fix it in post for some reason.
They could just digitize CGI over the
so
eye.
They couldn't do that. I remember some of the fight scenes being very lazy.
I like the one where she was like in slow motion for a long period of time with all. Remember the guy fought with sheets, the henchman.
Yeah, that was all right.
The ninja magic guys. That was funny. Let's see. Well, okay, let me help you out.
Yeah, the ninja henchman.
For some reason, we thought she was dead in the last one.
Right, yeah, so now she came back to life, which is not explained.
It does happen in the comics, but it's not explained at all.
It's not explained at all.
Okay, she's decided to be a killer now.
She's a killer, yep.
Even though I didn't think she was really like that bad of a person. She's a rich person. She has her dad's money. Why is she just not going being with Ben Affleck? But you see what I mean? Like, why did she just decide? I'll just be an assassin now, even though she doesn't. Like the motivation's really there's nothing.
Well, that's the thing. The whole plot just doesn't make any sense. There's so many plot holes because you don't know why she's doing this. You feel like there was maybe a short in between. Yeah. Sometimes on the Fast and Furious DVDs they put like the short in there between. Oh, watch this one between these two movies. Like you feel like there was like an 8-minute, 9-minute short somewhere that they filmed
to
explain anything to bridge the two movies.
Like literally, how did we get from here with you to here?
It's essentially a standalone movie without the origin story.
Yeah,
because we
saw her origin.
We already saw her origin, but this movie doesn't acknowledge any of that.
I think,
nor does it acknowledge why she's chosen this path.
I think they might have the Braille jewelry thing that he.
Okay,
but I thought at the end of Daredevil that I was pretty sure that was hanging there as proof that she was alive, but then she ends up with that. Were there two of those? Maybe I'm wrong on that detail. But the point is that might be the only subtle reference to the other movie.
Right.
No tie-ins, references, mentions. It's just like she's almost a different character. Mm-hmm. Completely.
Yeah. I felt like this was contractually obligated. Like I've never seen her be
so disinterested.
She usually, not that her roles are typically that demanding. She plays a mother here or a love interest here, but she always seems to be giving it her all.
Yeah.
And here it was just like
lack of energy.
Man, no energy at all. And the villains were not very interesting either.
Not really.
The girl a little bit, I guess.
The little girl?
Yeah.
Yeah, she has to wait. She has to assassinate these people, but then I guess the daughter is basically like some secret weapon. She's like a little Elektra,
which we don't find out about
till midway.
More than halfway through the movie, I think.
It's like, so in addition to just protecting these people because she randomly decided she has morals.
Oh, yeah, then who's the dad?
The dad
from the show. From ER.
Yeah.
The dad from ER in the cabin. Like, that whole thing didn't really make any sense. Because there was some love interest stuff there a little bit, it seemed. But what happened to Daredevil?
They're standing outside by the lake, and the little girl's like, I don't like you. My dad wants you to come over for Christmas. You have to, definitely.
That didn't make any sense. The motivation for different characters was just it was all off.
Everything was very off. All the lines were weirdly delivered.
Everything was off. Yeah, everybody was contradicting. Right,
their own statements.
Their own characters' statements. So, that was all really weird. And then, here's...
Okay. I'm ready.
I don't want to say anything good about this movie, though.
He's trying,
it is terrible.
It's pretty bad.
But I suppose when they're at the cabin, maybe there's a couple of interesting
scenes,
things that happen with the assassins.
It's like some of the fights.
Like some of the guys on the roof. Well, and that's my.
Oh, you were laughing at them when they were running.
Oh my god,
ninjas running never looks.
They were running. That was stupid. I forgot about that.
Why did the one ninja use a gun?
I didn't get that either.
He was just trying to shoot with a gun and missing.
I thought Whitney Houston was going to show up because I think it was the same. I think it was the exact same cabin that they used in The Bodyguard.
That's great.
My favorite.
Bodyguard references, yeah.
But everything was kind of okay. So Colin Farrell we like because he was over the top.
He was memorable. He was memorable.
But these guys are they're just. They're a little over the top, but in a bad way.
Their powers are their
powers are all over the place. Well, yeah, what it was.
And we don't learn why they have those. Nope. Like Elektra's just an assassin who's good at martial arts, and she might be able to come back to life. These other people, you got a guy that
she doesn't really have any superpowers per se.
The logic was really inconsistent too because they were vaguely defined. You had the one super strong guy who his skin is so tough that the sword won't pierce him, and a tree falls on him, and he puffs the green smoke.
Right.
Like, what? What? Did he just have a bad moment?
Yeah. They hit him right in the tree hit him right in the one spot.
His Achilles shoulder blade or whatever. What the? There's that guy. Mm-hmm. I kind of liked the guy whose tattoo was different animals.
That was interesting, but again, ill-defined.
What? And then we thought he could just make one. Can't make it again, and then we thousands of birds.
End he had thousands. Well, then why didn't he just do that with before?
Movie over.
So that was ill-defined and weird and
the chick that could kill everything by being around it.
Yeah, it was almost
a poisonous gas.
Yeah, but again, not quite defined and a little bit sketchy.
I mean,
and it sort of changed with what she needed it to do.
Yeah, it wasn't consistent there.
It wasn't consistent.
I know that in the comics, these are basically ninjas that work for the Hand, which is an evil ninja organization.
Okay.
And I think
but how would you know that by watching this film?
To be honest, the backstory was very briefly explained. I would have missed it. Remember, the cheap opening was just over a picture book, and there was a long...
Oh, yeah.
Not a very interesting way to do your exposition.
No. I prefer a flashback myself.
Ooh, a flashback. There were a couple of those.
Yes, from when she was a kid.
Yes. Oh yeah, about her.
When Gardner was an 8-year-old, 10-year-old girl, whatever.
Apparently, the villain killed her mom.
Yeah. Or something.
And he hated her for some reason. Or did he?
Yes.
He didn't. To be honest, the main villain didn't seem like he was that bad. I just want the little girl.
He seemed all right.
The evil villain seemed like an okay guy.
So
and they killed him, and then they're okay.
And here's the other thing. Okay, so even the director's cut of this,
which is what we watched,
was not that long. It was an hour and 50 minutes for the director's cut. I think it felt just about as long as the 2 hour and 20 minute or whatever it was Daredevil.
Oh man, that's bad.
Yeah, this dragged on because it kept getting stupider and stupider
with each scene.
With each passing scene.
I think you were done with it by 5 minutes in.
I was done certainly before the halfway mark. I really, usually, here's the thing.
All right.
I don't dole out a ton of Fs.
Oof.
But one thing I really think about with an F is when the movie is at about the halfway point, do I care at all
about
what happens to anybody in this movie? And if I can say yes, then I usually don't fail it.
Okay. Because it kept you invested in
because at least I'm invested in something. Mm-hmm. Or the set decoration was interesting enough.
I'd like to see a little more of this thing. Maybe they'll do something interesting with that.
This, though, was a prime example of when I can't say yes to that question. There was nothing really that I could point to and say, okay, well, at least that was well done, or this when the star of your action movie is sleepwalking through the role, and it's a performer that I typically like. Like, for example, I know you like that last Witch Hunter movie.
But I acknowledge it's not great, but I like Vin Diesel.
But
I liked the girl in it from Game of Thrones.
Right.
And I liked the
Vin
world.
Diesel,
The world.
The world was interesting.
Yeah.
But when you see Vin Diesel sleepwalking through a movie...
He kind of was.
That's kind of what he does. He sleepwalked through the Fast and Furious movies. You know, Jennifer Garner, especially hot off of Alias,
you would think
would really have some sort of passion for this role. At least be trying. I mean, like, you could... Okay, Fantastic Four, Fan Four Stick, the new one, was terrible. And I did end up failing that.
There was more going on in that.
But there was more going on. And despite his best efforts, Miles Teller... Well, their best efforts, I guess, because Michael B. Jordan as well.
There was a good cast.
Neither of them could save the movie, but they were at least trying.
Yeah.
The script was horrible. Everything about it was horrible, but
they were trying.
They were at least trying.
It's a good point.
She just wasn't, and I have never seen her
phone it in
like that, and she sure did. She sure did. So, what did you think?
Well,
because this was your first Elektra experience.
You know, it's interesting because when we had done this, I thought to myself, well, Elektra. I'd heard that it was one of the worst superhero movies ever, but I thought that was just hyperbole.
Well, and we were inspired to watch this, actually. The reason we started talking about it, now that I remember, because we watched Catwoman.
Yes.
You introduced me to Catwoman for the first time.
And that's a good point.
And I was like, oh my god, nothing can be worse than this.
But the thing, and Catwoman is also up there, but this is the thing. People still talk about Catwoman. Still, people watch Catwoman to see how bad it is, and can have a good time, have some laughs.
Oh, I definitely would not fail Catwoman.
Yeah, like Catwoman...
It's a bad movie.
It's a bad movie, but it's interestingly bad.
Yes.
Like, why did they make that decision? That's so weird. It's goofy, but Halle Berry's kind of trying.
She is, actually.
Misdirected, but she's having fun.
She is having fun.
It's a disaster, you're rolling with it. I can respect that. It's still entertaining. But Elektra, nobody talks about. Nobody says, "Yeah, let's go watch Elektra for a great time." Like nobody.
It's very true.
And now I know why. And I was disappointed because I was hoping for a Catwoman experience, and I was hoping that Daredevil's kind of more like Catwoman.
Yeah.
But Daredevil is Catwoman. Elektra is like the side note.
Right.
Like if Catwoman got a crappy spinoff, that's what it would have been about. About like I don't know, like a made up sidekick. But. About Sharon Stone's revenge.
Oh my god!
But side
I forgot about that.
side combo. But no, really, didn't want to say that there was nothing really good about it. Like there were little things I wanted to say.
You like to always try and find something.
Like I liked some of the costume design for some of the villains.
Okay.
I thought Terrence Stamp as the advisor Stick.
That wasn't bad.
He was okay, although.
He wasn't trying.
For somebody that was trying to pretend to be blind, I didn't really buy it.
I didn't even know until
in the usually
shortly before the
sunglasses.
The
but that might have been directing. But he's Terrence Stamp. He could pretend to be blind. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
But so I'm like, it was okay. But like everybody was bored. The dialogue was really bad. Action and it was boring. It was so dull.
It was so boring.
And that's the worst. So
well, like I said, even though the director's cut of Daredevil was a half hour longer, this movie seemed about the same length. Like it really, really dragged.
That makes you think if the main content of the movie is not that interesting, then God, honestly, I don't even know what they would take out. I probably could take out a lot, but there wouldn't be much movie left.
No, you would. Yeah, if you took out all the boring stuff of Elektra, you'd have a 5-minute movie.
So yeah, man, I'm probably gonna fail Elektra because I didn't have a good time watching it. Really.
Yeah.
I mean, other than just hanging out to watch it, I could have gone my whole life not watching it. I
agree.
I'm never gonna watch it again. Daredevil, I'm like.
You'll watch Daredevil again.
Some of the time, I'm sure I could
pop it in.
I could pop it in the background.
See what Coolio's up to.
Justice is blind,
Listen, there were some good jokes.
There were some good lines.
Okay.
It was having fun. At least they were having fun with their silly superhero movie.
Farrell was having a great time.
He was the life of the party. There were some good performances, memorable. Even Garner was better in that one.
Yes, Garner was definitely trying harder in Daredevil than in her own movie.
Which is bizarre.
And I don't understand why. And something tells me, because look.
Okay.
Garner gives it her all every time. We know this.
Sure.
So something tells me that maybe the director was like,
he would want it.
You are, Elektra is a cold, unfeeling character.
Doesn't want to connect with anybody.
Yeah, doesn't want to. So this is what we want you to portray. And so she tried it, and then
maybe that's all the director she got.
And the director was like, "No, even more lifeless than that, Jen." I don't see her. I mean, look, this was her first starring movie. She was a TV star.
Yeah, but she was pretty good in Alias, so maybe it was bad script, maybe it was bad direction.
That's what I think.
And maybe
I find it hard to blame it on her, even though she was terrible in it.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of one of those things.
It's weird. It's hard. You don't know.
It's hard to say.
Yeah, like I wasn't there.
Yeah, exactly. You don't know. It's a lot of it's conjecture.
Right.
Maybe she knew. Maybe Daredevil didn't do that great. They didn't think there was going to be a huge franchise. So I'll just do this movie, get a paycheck, and move on to better things. Maybe she wasn't feeling it. It's usually, I think, a combination of a lot of things. Probably. But you're right. I have a hard time believing she probably didn't have the best direction.
Right. I just feel like I've never seen her give less than 100%, and this was about 8%.
She was barely there.
Barely there.
Show up, be a body.
Even she couldn't think to say to the director, "Where are my green contacts?"
How do you feel about her costume? Actually, she was only in the Elektra costume like maybe twice.
Yeah, it wasn't. Yeah, she was barely.
Oh, and for the Star Trek Discovery fans,
right.
Jason Isaac was the guy she kills at the beginning. The new captain.
He's the captain.
I liked that part. And he was like, "Oh, they say that when she kills you, she'll whisper in your ear, and then she does and kills him." I'm like, if the whole movie been like that, I mean, it would have been corny, but it would have been more what I expected.
It would have been very corny, but it would have been at least following in the footsteps of his predecessor.
Exactly.
This one, not so much.
Well, okay. Here's a little side question for you, Dan, because I am curious, and we're on one bar, so we'll keep it low. But 36 minutes, not too bad for us.
That's pretty good for us.
I
called it. I said 40 minutes.
Yeah, this is a brief podcast for us, but we're only talking about.
Merlin said we'll
movies.
Make it short, and I said short for us is about 40 minutes.
And we'll just do a quick podcast, hour and a half later. We're still trying to wrap it up, but. Based upon your experience with these movies, how interested / excited or otherwise would you be about checking out the Netflix versions of these characters?
Well, I know that they're two completely different animals.
Okay.
It's like for example, if Netflix made, and I know they're kind of getting out of the Marvel game because of the Disney Channel, but if you were to tell me they're going to make a Fantastic Four Netflix show,
you're down for it.
I would be down for it.
Dude, I am.
You know what I mean? I think,
man.
I know. You hate it when I talk about how bad Fantastic Four.
No, but I'm excited.
It was so bad.
But I'm excited about Marvel getting their hands on it.
I know that will be nice. But that's the thing. I think, look, this was a long time ago. I don't think Marvel quite
had
a grasp on their characters, maybe, or how to
market them,
or how to turn them into movie franchises.
What works, what didn't work.
Yeah, and clearly this was the testing ground.
It's a test
for that.
Yeah.
And it didn't work.
No.
So that's why probably we got such a great Iron Man movie.
Yeah.
Because it's okay, let's look at what didn't work with Daredevil and Elektra and turn it around, and what did work with Spider-Man, and
you're right.
Merge the two.
And Sony and Marvel have really found that balance.
Yeah.
And it's interesting, too, because if you watch the Netflix shows, they're not like the movies. Mm-hmm. The Daredevil is dark.
They're grittier, right. Yeah.
Gritty. It's fairly realistic. Half the time you're watching, you just feel like you're watching a legal drama.
Because from what I know, from what you and other people have told me, they're not really targeted at kids.
No,
and the MCU
is more,
really is.
It's a family-friendly thing,
yeah.
And it continues to fascinate me.
Even as a PG-13, they don't put F-bombs in it, even though they're allowed one.
No, it's But I mean, there's still enough of the comics for hardcore fans to appreciate.
Right.
And it's immature enough that an adult could get something out of it.
Right.
And I love that balance. I think that's great family entertainment. But Daredevil, it's you're going. This is for adults. This isn't just a guy in tights. And the interpretation of the character, I think, is on point. And there are some elements of the movie they keep in. Mm-hmm. But it's funny.
Does he say Justice is blind?
He does say Justice is blind at one point. You got to do some. There's
Coolio make an appearance?
Not yet.
Damn it.
But there is a little bit of camp, some references, but for the most part, it's very serious.
Yeah.
And it's good.
That's what I've heard.
And it's good to show you can do that. But it's interesting that Ben Affleck was playing it straight, but in a very silly movie. Right. I think Charlie Cox is playing it straight in a more serious story, but I also think, quite frankly, he's even better suited for the role. He is just so good. Okay. He is definitive on-screen Daredevil to me.
Interesting.
But Ben Affleck is still the one that got me interested in the character. Yeah. And introduced me to his world and why I really do like the character. So, like I said, that movie still has a special place in my heart, but director's cut, I don't think I need it, and I never want to watch Elektra.
Yeah, I don't think you should ever watch the director's cut of Daredevil.
Though one of my biggest issues with the original movie was I didn't like the casting of Elektra because Elektra is this Mediterranean femme fatale, and I don't picture.
No,
she says she's Greek once in the movie. And
I don't
no
buy
accent.
It. Right.
And the girl they get to do her in the show, she portray her is just seems very authentic. She's like from the Middle East or something, but like she seems much more like Elektra is, damaged, dark, dangerous. Probably not girl next door.
We didn't get any of that in the movie.
And neither of the movies. So
right.
in just a guest appearance in Daredevil, she's far more Elektra than two of these movies.
Okay.
And that was my biggest problem. So
yeah, it certainly doesn't deter me from the Netflix movies or the Netflix show because I understand that they're two very different animals.
Definitely. Yeah, man. Well, any final thoughts or?
No, just big old F for Elektra.
Big old F. And like a C, I guess, for Daredevil.
Yeah, I think for me, C minus.
C minus.
On Daredevil.
I'll keep it a C plus.
It dragged on a lot.
I think 13-year-old me probably would have given Daredevil like an A.
Like an A, yeah. Oh my God, you loved it.
I did.
I've known that about you for years.
I talked about. I love Daredevil.
You're a Daredevil defender. Marvel's The Defenders brought it back around.
Double entendre for sure. Nah, man, but no, absolutely.
But no, you've always defended Daredevil as a campy but
I think it's
good, not great superhero.
I think for the time it was solid. I think in 2003, I think you could have done worse.
Yeah,
but yeah, no, it's fine.
And we saw it in Elektra the next year.
Oh, we did
for sure.
Indeed. Well, yeah, man, fairly short podcast.
Yeah, for us
in the 40s. Where I think I'm gonna probably upload this on my channel. I've had some technical issues so with my computer, but hopefully I'll get this up. Try to get videos up. We're probably gonna hit some more podcasts this year about different things.
Yes, you and I have a nice slate.
We wanted to do one every day of the week, which probably not gonna be the hardcore, but some of the long things we wanted to talk about might show up on your channel.
Yeah, I think we'll come up with that on Dan Reviews It.
And I think on your channel we might do our top movies of the highest grossing movies of 2018.
Yeah, kind of look at the top 50 highest grossing. Which
try to talk about them.
Yeah, talk about the ones we liked, the ones we didn't like.
Pretty much have like a kind of a quick bunch of mini reviews about the movies we all managed to catch up on.
Yes,
and we'll probably get that out sometime like towards the end of January. I'm thinking.
Yeah, when we have a little more time to catch up, I think.
Because I still got to catch up a few, but
yeah,
look forward to that on Dan Reviews It, guys. And in the meantime, I'm gonna try to get this thing fixed. But I think I've got some more videos planned out. I want to see. I know new stuff coming out. I'm probably going to see the Dragon Ball movie.
Oh, nice.
There's another one coming out in a couple weeks, and Glass.
Oh, yeah, Glass. You've been waiting for that for 2 years.
And if you want to talk about that on the channel or come by and see that, that's going to be
good old Glass.
We actually did talk about that on your channel.
Yes, we did. Back in the day.
Like a year ago or something.
Yeah, it was when they announced it, yeah.
But yeah, man, thanks for coming on.
Sure, and, thanks for having me as always.
Absolutely, and I'll see you later, dude.
All right, see you.
All right, stay magical, everybody.